Now, I told you the gremlins are after us this week. We lost power. Suddenly the power disappeared. Can anything else happen? No. Yes, it can, but I don't know what. I was in a full flow, and I can't even remember what I was talking about now. But I was reminiscing about some of my experiences just of life, and that's, I suppose, really today, as we stagger back to our feet. I say stagger because here we are, interrupted. Stagger back to our feet. The sun is shining. There's a spring-like feel in the air, and despite all our troubles, aren't we lucky to be alive? You may say, Keith, you're the doom and gloom merchant. You are always on about something that's wrong. Well, you're absolutely right. Because Mirador is a watchdog. Mirador has to keep its ears and eyes open to what's going on in the community. William Hague was writing in the Times 2 days ago, and it was followed up yesterday by another columnist. Our individual freedoms are being overpowered. We have no significant local media left. When you consider Lewis, the Sussex Express tries to do a decent job, but it's not even in Lewis. It has limited resources. And in the old days, where some of you will remember local reporters pounding the beat, they're gone. The local council leaders think that they've got people in their pocket. The BBC in Brighton send people now and again, particularly if it's a big court case. There are a number of local online sites. Mick Symes tries to do a very good job as best he can, but it's not the same as having a full-fledged news operation. We are the only people left, and with all due respect, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way, all we've got is Stuart Dolby, and Stuart can't be expected to be everywhere at once. He does his best to stay on top of the key issues of the day. And William Hague is saying we need to resurrect local media. And he's backed up by a University of Harvard review, which bluntly says the less local media you have, the more expensive it becomes to have local governance, the less competent they become, the more corrupt they become, and generally speaking, a society, a community doesn't fare well without them. We struggle manfully. We have no money at all. What it costs us, we pay out of our own pockets. That's hardly a good way of operating. But nonetheless, it's the way that we are, and we do our best with a dedicated group of people who try hard to keep you informed, entertained, and on top of whatever news there is of interest. Now, I mentioned the Times and William Hague bemoaning the fact that local media is dying. So let's just take a look at the Times. This is the paper he was writing in. Its banner headline: extremist groups facing censure to be named and shamed. Ministers will name and shame extremist groups banned from having ties to the government because of their unacceptable conduct. As part of a new definition of extremism drawn up by Michael Gove, the Community Secretary, ministers will publish a list of non-criminal groups barred from exerting any influence over government policy. Well, that's a step in the right direction. Although you can guarantee the government will be self-protective. But the main headline is deaths from cancer in middle age fall by a third. And that's some good news. Cancer deaths in middle-aged adults have fallen by a third since the 1990s, thanks to breakthroughs in treatment and screening research, surveys show. Fewer people aged 35 to 69 in the UK are now dying from cancer than at any point since the early 1990s, even as overall cases of the disease increase. The study in the British Medical Journal said national screening programs meant that bowel, breast, and cervical cancers were being caught earlier and they were easier to treat. Also on the front page is a picture of a young lady looking at TikTok on her phone. And the headline is, the United States moves to ban TikTok over China links. TikTok is fighting for its survival in America after the House of Representatives passed a bill to ban the popular video sharing app unless it is sold off from Chinese ownership. Fears of data security and Beijing's influence over 150 million US users led a large majority of Democrats and Republicans to escalate the new Cold War, taking place between the world's largest economies over control of ubiquitous computing and communications technology. Well, I have mixed feelings on that. I don't like anything being banned. I don't like anything at all being banned. Aha! A law to stop foreign states owning British newspapers. Well, I suppose that's a step in the right direction, but the fact of the matter is, ownership of British newspapers contributes to the repression of freedom. We're very tiny. You can't really compare us to anything, but the fact of the matter is that this is independently owned. Mirador is independently owned, and that's why we're able, without fear or favour, to call it a spade a shovel. And we do. And we're pretty heavy about it. So while it's a step in the right direction, it's got to be taken into context. So that's TikTok and ownership of British newspapers in the news. Oh, Naomi Campbell, it says fashion is going backwards on diversity. Far-right activists use martial arts clubs to recruit members. Woo! I say, there's a turn up for the books. Far-right activists are working to entice youngsters into fascism by setting up a secretive network of martial arts and fitness clubs across Britain, a report has found. Ooh. New grief for widower in funeral home investigation. A 90-year-old widower is reliving his grief after the body of his wife was found at a funeral home under police investigation weeks after her supposed cremation. Yes, that's been running for the last few days, and it's not getting sorted out. Call to ban private clinics from prescribing puberty blockers. Well, as I said yesterday, this issue of drugs doing one thing or another to a child is obviously a very key issue, but it's not one that I totally understand, and so therefore I fail to comment on it. But there is a comment by a journalist called Janice Turner who says, "We will look back with horror on this era of medical disgrace." The Home Office phones asylum seekers with 3,000 offer to fly to Rwanda. Well, this was a story from yesterday that they're not only will be bunging illegal immigrants on a plane, but we are going to give them 3,000 quid to put their bums in the seat. How far are we going to go on this attempt to stop illegal immigrants? Is this pussyfooting around? GCHQ has created a puzzle to lure a fresh generation of recruits with the right mix of minds, and has become the first British intelligence agency to advertise for spies on LinkedIn. Well, I know what that's all about because I was married to one for a short period of time. I mean, I don't mean I was married for a short period of time. I mean, my wife was a spy for a short period of time while we were married. Pretty scary stuff, actually. Right, Grant Shapps has backed billions for defence. Is this a U-turn? Well, Britain should spend billions more on defence to better protect itself from future conflict. Grant Shapps, the Defence Secretary, said His recent visit to Ukraine was a wake-up call. And he believed the world had become more dangerous. He backs billions for defense. Will the government go along with it? They haven't so far, nothing in the last budget. Sunak defies calls to give back Tory donors £10 million. A Conservative donor who made a racist comments about Diane Abbott, has shown genuine remorse, the Prime Minister said yesterday, as he resisted calls to return a £10 million donation. Woo! Casual racism is still unchallenged in boardrooms. Wow, wow, wow. Let's see, I've got another 5 minutes. Ministers to back ban on puppy farm smugglers. Right, okay, well, the puppy smuggling is said to become a criminal offence for the first time after ministers threw their support behind a private member bill designed to tackle the illicit trade in pets. Oh, and also spending time with dogs makes you more creative. Let's see. Cold comfort for fans of Wim Hof method. It may ease your pain. Oh, that's all about the treatment. Heads roasting for caterers who can't bake spuds. Jamie Oliver says you must have an air fryer. Gosh, the important things that are going on behind the scenes. Oh, that's got a nice headline. Is Johnson, meaning Boris, was like an absent boss of a football team during COVID. That's what the First Minister of Wales said at the COVID inquiry. What an analogy. Well, now we're getting into the sort of nitty-gritty. So I think it's time for me to stop boring you because there is nothing really dramatic or exciting in the papers again today. It's a turgid time for news. I'm more concerned with keeping our